There we go. All right, welcome to reallibertymedia.com, rlmradio.xyz. And today, this is Feedback, Episode 7. It's the wake of war and things to come. And who am I? Well, I'm your host. I'm Vinny. I'm a bad teacher, perhaps, but it's a gift. Or maybe a good learner. I don't know. Always been slow. So grab a pen and pad, and we're going to take some notes maybe about our padded pen on things to come. So I'm going to start off right away on the video that I shot. A couple of deputies came out on the disturbance out here where I'm at. Related to the same old, you know. But so I decided, I've been waiting for this opportunity for my next cop video, and I had it titled, How to Disarm and Shoot a Cop. And like I said, I've been having that plan for a while. And when I went to video those deputies, I had no fear or trepidation about my safety. Unlike, maybe in a big city or something, you might have to have more caution, perhaps. Some folks made the point that it was a bit soft. Well, it was purely intended to be. It was my walking up, announcing myself, letting them know what I had in my hand, that I was recording. Before I started recording, I asked if it was all right. When they're, I guess, public servants, you don't really have to ask or something. I don't know, but I think it's common courtesy. And I'll come back around to a little more courtesy and stuff like that a little later on, as far as the earlier conversation here in the chat. So, but from the advice of some of the resident chatters at UCY, I thought it was probably pretty good advice. That they had a lot of reasons why they thought the name of the video was bad. My safety, for one, which I have no fear of. I've said often that the cops out here, the deputy sheriffs, and Scott Bradley, the sheriff, all things aside, most of these guys are local. They're good old boys. They have an idea of what life is like out here. And when I asked him what how he responds to when he pulls somebody over, it's case by case. So I thought that they were very kind and courteous. Now it's up to 171 views, which is quite a bit for any of my videos. It doubled, more than doubled overnight. I heard a couple of days ago, or 2 or 3, whenever it was. But so I got passed around. I did call and talk to one cop I know, one deputy, and asked if he had watched it, and he said, yeah. So who he is, that tells me to know that everybody up there at the sheriff's department did watch it. So I sent the video link on an inbox to Scott Bradley, the sheriff here in Van Buren County, Arkansas. Like I said, I think he's a good guy. Lucas Emberton's running against him. He grew up within just a couple of miles of me right here. So he has a little enclave right here, Lucas does. But as far as, I think I'd like to come in and discuss this more, probably have to bring it to a point to bear, but I think Scott's a better man for the job, personally. And we'll come to that. But the reason why I ended up changing the title is because one of the chatters, like I said perhaps that deputy might feel like he's being targeted. So I had not given that any consideration. Perhaps I objectionalized him in his position of power that he sets in, and didn't give him the courtesy to, first of all, even tell him that I was going to title that video that. It might have caused a shocked look. So out of respect for him and his safety, I decided to change it to how to talk to and film cops. Very generic. I'm not one for sensationalizing a lot of times. If you go to YouTube and you look at the videos that get, tens of thousands of views, they're pretty much, doom and gloom and sensationalizing issues. In my journey in discovery as a learner, I just, it doesn't set right with me, and I kind of had a little tinge of perhaps I shouldn't have. Somebody pinging me here. Grimner says you have to understand that the brainwash masses the mere thought someone shooting a cop is like killing a god. Yeah, that's true. In so many ways, I would have some questions for Scott because I think as far as the guys he has working for him, they might need to maybe change over to being teachers for some of these cops in major cities on how to interact with folks. I've never had a bad experience with any of the deputies out here. I was the guest in Van Buren County for 30 days. It took me 3 years to be able to do that. Judge over in a municipality wanted to find me $860, and I told him that that was 20% of my annual income, and I'd have to just set that out. Well, they're revenuers. One thing I don't ever see, now I'll have to qualify this, but I don't see the deputies or the sheriff's department here acting as revenuers like the highway patrolman that the other video that I shot, not showing an ID. Well, it turns out, I guess, by giving them my name, I do give them my ID, which is kind of a consent to the system. So it's very complicated. Most people are not going to understand all this, especially what I would call normal, everyday people. So, let me gather my thoughts back here. It's definitely a challenge to be able to talk to people about issues. And my point in this video, the reason that I shot this video is to be able to show that there is a better way and that we have a much better face to show America. So, hey, for what it is, I appreciate the job they do. I think that law is very important, and I did err to self-censor. And there's the notes that I wrote on that. So, yeah, someone, I'll leave your name out, said I was soft. The cops wasn't doing nothing. Well, they were just in the performance of their duty, whatever. So today we've got things to come, and we might talk about that. I've got a lot of notes. I had to do a restart, and so all my tabs are just mostly gone. I'll have to come back and reopen them. So thankfully this time I did hit save before I lost it like I did, I think it was last week. But anyways, so things to come, and I hope you'll see this as me being cheeky, but checkpoints, things to come. Riots and chaos, things to come. Warrantless arrests, quarantines, turf wars, underground bunkers. How about legalized drugs? We're going to talk about on the 420 report here in just about 8 minutes. Arkansas medical pot, or marijuana. It's not even referred to as a proper name of cannabis. We talked some time back about how cannabis sativa and cannabis indica, there's a differentiation in the legal terms there. So the stuff you're smoking to get high, by the legal definition, it's not even illegal. So this is some things we'll be talking about. And my question is with all the money in the world, there's no reason. For what reason is there that these wrongs of the world are not made right? Especially when bombs seem to be so cheap. So moving forward, testing the ground and asking questions. And why? Because where there is no remedy is war. A lack of law. So I want to touch on some notes from Hal Anthony, one of the past casts this week on BTWRLM 173. And I was looking for somebody who's talking about that just passed recently. Her name was Pam Hackett, and I never did find any good information. So Hal, if you're listening, maybe you'll tell us more about Pam. So we do need good men and women to occupy the seats of decision. And I would think that we would need a platform of review of legal and remove what is not law. So what I'm doing here, I'm speaking, I put myself on the line. I'm stepping up to toe the mark, all right, because there is a better way. And what's been going on for eons is obviously it's not worked out for the betterment of all of us. Unfortunately, government has taken a form that was otherwise intended from the beginning. What is the purest form of terrorism? Thank you, Rob. War is the purest form of terrorism. And that's from Rob in RLM chat. Riots have become entertainment, and where government has gone astray. So when we resort to war, we've lost to law, and law is king. So I'm bouncing around here. Let me see if I can go back over. Where did I write that? Law is king. Thomas Paine. I'll just remember that I did write that. And then I want to go back to page 1. Like I said, I've got all my notes. I've just been taking notes all week, and I got bunches of tabs, and who knows what all I get to and not. So, in this padded pen that we all reside, what rights do I have? What do I have a right to? Where there is no other jurisdiction over me, where I'll answer that. Where I have no adverse effect on person or property, and so what it is there that I do then should not be a matter of law. But we do find that it is incorporated into the legal. Now, I'm going to say the Bar Association and any lawyers, because, look, I got cops that are cousins. I got one of my cousins, her husband is a lawyer and a judge. I'm really the black sheep here, so... I forgot to tell about sitting in with Scott, but up at the jail. Yeah, so I sit in there for 30 days. It just goes back to what one judge has told me before. He doesn't care about justice. He cares about the letter of the law. And this is where we've gone astray. And who's guiding this is the Bar Association. And regular listeners will know the history on that. And for those that aren't, let me premise it with saying that, okay, so government runs as a corporation. Well, what's wrong with that? It's the way of getting business done. Well, government has become business. It's a corporatocracy. All our policies, legislature, and all that, it's all set by these lobbyist influence. So to take a step back and to realize things again, how where we are, this claim between individualism and collectivism, where they're stakeholders. Okay, now, who was it that said stakeholder? I think I wrote that down over on another page. Yeah, that came back up. Let me just go ahead and catch up real quick. And if you guys don't mind my stammering and stutters, then I appreciate it. Where'd you go? It's not there. It's not there. Click on it. Oh. Well, where is his name? I wrote it down. Oh well, I'll come back to it. I'll find it as I peruse my notes again. So, I think it's on this page. Yeah. And then I did see something else that I wanted to talk about. I've lost myself. If you see my notes, you'd understand why. Okay, so anyways, Hal called me a poetic plagiarist. I think he played off my paraphrase plagiarist title that I give myself, just singing along a paraphrasing song, protocols of propaganda in protest of peace, told by the troubled troubadour. Can't help but talk like an idiot savant, right? So we're starved at the trough. Take away our ability to even eat. You know, this feed that we get, this swill. So you get what's dumped in this feedback of being duped, divided of life from each other and all of creation. And where do we find mercy? And are we just pebbles or grains of sand? But we do make a ripple, don't we? Where is that point I was wanting to look for here? Well, anyways, so we're on many fronts. Um, okay, here we go. Milton Friedman, thank you, 1986. That's the name I was looking for. That brought up the stakeholder. Now, stakeholders are usually hidden behind stalking horses. So, this would say that nobody's going to fall for, if you've seen somebody walking with a cutout of a horse and hiding behind it, you're going to be like, man, that's somebody hiding behind that horse over there. And he's got a gun. What's he doing? So a stalking horse is a third party, so that third party is hid behind there. But if it's a good job of camouflaging, you're not going to notice that person walking behind there, especially if you're a sheep, because you can't count legs. Didn't have any idea that horse shouldn't have 6 legs. Well, the false feed for the stalking horse is a feedback for the takedown, and that sustains the herd. A stakeholder, the stalking horse, Milton Friedman again, 1986. And what we have here is corporate control headquarters, and it's an alternative command, control, and structure, and it is not. It's not for the bees, the birds and the bees, but the business, and that is acts as adjunct policy, not law. It's the scheme of things is landmark and precedent to peace and settlement. What opposes that is war. So we're all a bit herded by the herd, and that's what we hear is what I mean to say that. The herded herd. And so the stakeholder has a claim as a steward or stewarding, and that has left us up to our noses in nose deep anyways, and due to societal fascism and a non-lawful construct. So what am I doing? What's my whole point here? Is making contact. Thank you, Kira, as a bridge, being a bridge, and searching out this more better way of doing what it is we're doing to try to make the world a better place. If we don't end war will end us. In the wake of war comes devastation, death, and destruction. Now, I took some notes here. What broadcast was this? I think. Oh well. It was a. So, why does it come to this? God, why do we have to murder each other? Right? Isn't that what it comes down to? It's a decline of man. Is the end in sight? Is victory coming? Continuation of war is to drink the same poison from the same poison water hole. Back to the feed from the trough. Feedback swill. That's what we're getting. But what is the opposite? What are we looking for? What's right and good? Law and sanity, law and order. Law opposes war. And what were we promised? Order? What kind of order? Like a new world order? Proposed as the end all, in the means justifies the end, for a rich, rewarding business in the science of government. And to those about to die, we salute you. Those that are untrained to think, we salute you. Active, aggressive peace. Simon says science will save us. By way of, yeah, passive aggressive peace. Sure. There's rest in death, right? Respite in death. Not conquered from without, but conquered within. Not only as governments and nations, but we ourselves. I guess I made good example these last 3 days with my bickering with Hans over here, which is perceived to be as a battle, but it's me more picking at him. Kind of funny, but I guess everybody don't see it. And so I will leave off on Hans from now on. Y'all make of him as you will. And So, one moment. All right, I think I've run through my physical notes here. Uh-oh, I'm late for 420. Let me do the 420 report. It's 20 minutes, or 4 minutes past. So, this is going to be fun trying to open tabs. I think I put cover here. No, I guess I've got some more. Let me wait for that tab to open. Well, I've got a couple more things. There it is, Thomas Paine. He says that the law is king. So we got to be a part of it or be a part. And that is to be ruled or be ruled. Parties, lobbyists, representatives, politicians, we're finding a loss of remedy. And so here would be a question that I might ask when confronted. Did I do something wrong? I test myself as well as I ask that you test me and test yourself as well. Okay, here's fun up for me. I hope y'all won't mind slow. Push for Arkansas medical marijuana could be bellwether for America's conservative heartland. This is from Andrew DeMillo from the Associated Press, Little Rock, Arkansas. Republicans control all of Arkansas statewide offices. They hold a majority in both chambers of the legislature and are nearly assured of winning the state's 6 electoral votes in the presidential election. The deep red state could be on the verge of an unusually liberal move, legalizing Arkansas medical marijuana for people who suffer from a host of ailments. The fall ballot will feature two marijuana measures, and pro-pot advocates view them as an important opportunity to show that there is broad support for legalization, even in conservative parts of the country, particularly south. Things to come. Legalize drugs. Cannabis isn't a drug, but that will come too when they decide that they can make more money from the management of whatever it be, from heroin to cocaine. That would be legalized as well one day. I see that coming. I don't know when. I'm not saying even in the near future, but things to come. Where was I? So, if a red conservative state like Arkansas in the Bible Belt can pass medical marijuana, they actually said it right here, pass medical cannabis, then anybody can, says Melissa Fultz, who leads the campaign for one of the medical marijuana proposals going before voters. People are depending on us. We can't let them down. Arkansas voters narrowly rejected the medical marijuana. Let me interject here. That's when Obama was running. There was a lot of liberals out voting, so it was like, 52 to 48 decline on medical cannabis. I guess it might have been 4 years ago. This is the last time I think it came up here in Arkansas. So anyways, that was narrowly rejected. It was 4 years. A proposal 4 years ago, despite national groups spending big in favor of legalization. Meanwhile, national support for medical marijuana has grown, and half of the states in the District of Columbia have legalized a drug, not a drug, in some fashion. But pot remains mostly illegal. By the way, drugs come from the pharmaceuticals, right? That other stuff's dope. And weed is cannabis, and it's a plant. Hal was talking, was it from this week or one of the past casts, talking about where they legalized coca, the plant down in, I think, Bolivia. People have been using that for millennia. And it's the plant itself, when you use it, chew the leaves or make a tea, it's not the same as cocaine, which is, the processing of it makes it acidic, and, there's just a lot of problems that come with that. But some things that could be utilized. Even, you look at the opiates, if they were, used properly, from the poppy plant. So, where do you find relief? But pot remains mostly illegal across the state. The fall campaign is going to be a little tougher battle, says the writer, but I think everyone's views on medical marijuana, I like their views on gay marriage. This says David Koch, the sponsor of a competing medical marijuana measure. They've softened over the past couple of years. Attitudes about marijuana have eased in Arkansas, where voters in 2 cities approved ballot initiatives that encourage police to regard arrests for small amounts as low priority. Advocates hope the support for medical cannabis will cross party lines, and they are counting on voters like Barb Soul, a 77-year-old retiree who expects to support Republican Donald Trump for president. Soul, who backed the legislation measure 4 years ago, said she doesn't see any need to deny the drug to people suffering from cancer and other medical problems. I don't think that if you're hurting from cancer, I don't think weed's going to help you a whole lot in your pain. All right, so we're missing the whole point about what the medicinal use is here. And unfortunately, it's so convoluted. That's most people. That's what they think. So, continuing, I don't think that medical marijuana is going to lead someone to use heroin or other drugs. Soul said that's nonsense. Both, well, alcohol is the biggest gateway drug and problem. Maybe arguably methamphetamines, the destruction. But we've found that prohibition only increases crime. You build cartels. You get turf wars. Things to come. So, continuing. For support of medical marijuana among the states that has not translated into much progress at the federal level, the Obama administration in August decided to keep marijuana on the list of most dangerous drugs. Schedule 1. Why? Schedule 1 says there's no medical application for it. What a lie. You can look that for yourself. It's quite obvious and it's been proven time and time again. Curing seizures in children, just to name one. So the Obama administration, on to do. Winning approval for medical cannabis in a state such as Arkansas could help elevate the drug to a federal issue. Elevate the drug to a federal issue. Well, I really don't like the language calling it a drug. It's not a drug. It will be a drug when the Monsanto gets a hold of it. Okay, continuing. At some point, there's going to have to be change for the federal level to ensure that federal law and state law work together. This is Tamar Todd, director of the legal affairs for the Drug Policy Alliance, which is backing Folt's proposal. Certainly adding southern states and southern constituencies to push to change the laws at the federal level will be significant. So this is really the only benefit I see in the legalization. If you don't pay to play, they'll still come and kill you, kidnap you, or hold you for ransom. But anyways, the path to legalization still faces plenty of obstacles in Arkansas. Advocates fear having 2 measures on the ballot will doom legalization efforts. I don't know if that's going to be a plus or minus. One of them really just gives full control over it, just like casinos. It's all a monopoly. It's the big money taking control. It's not leaving it in the hands of the individual. Let's go back to law, right? Not legal. That we're so full of legal. It's pitiful. So I'm almost down the end here. A coalition of the state's most powerful lobbying forces, including the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the State Chamber of Commerce, and conservative groups, have united to campaign against the measures and have sued to block votes for both of them. That's your government. That's your lobbyists. That's making your will over somebody else's where you have no right to. Governor Asa Hutchinson, who ran the DEA during George W. Bush's first term, has stepped up his criticism, warning that legalization would be a burden on resources. Why not just decriminalize it? That'll solve your problem right there. I do not see any tax boon to the state. I see more of a tax drain, Hutchinson told county officials from around the state at a recent meeting. Hutchinson and other opponents are trying to focus the debate on specific parts of the proposals. Stalking horses, I'll tell you what, pretty frustrating. So, let me see if I can just skip on down here towards the end. The State Department nominee for the U.S. Senate and former federal prosecutor has likewise said he supports developing a responsible medical marijuana program nationally and in Arkansas, but isn't weighing in on specific proposals. The pro-marijuana campaigns say even general endorsements help, but they are relying more on testimonials from sick people who have used cannabis, such as Raven Thompson of Little Rock, who battled a rare sarcoma. Sarcoma is very pretty much a death sentence as far as I know about sarcoma and cancer. I think that's a bone cancer. And continue. Thompson has been in remission for the past 2 years. Wow. Said marijuana helped restore her appetite during chemotherapy and after surgery. Okay, so I was completely astray on that. So they're just saying that smoking weed helped her to eat after she went and got herself poisoned from chemotherapy and got cut on. But the facts are that the cannabinoids, we have cannabinoid receptors in our brain. Is it a cure-all? Certainly not. But does it cure a lot? It certainly does. So that was from the cannabis.com Arkansas Medical Marijuana Ballot News Test, 6/29. What is that? Is that the date? Sure not. Where is that date? September 9th, 2016. Okay. So I'm going to kill that tab. Should have had another song keyed up here. Take a break. Maybe y'all just take a break with me while I take a Uh-oh. Oops. I just had a tab open when I killed that one and started playing it. Let me jump back over to chat. And I'm going to have to move on. I had some fresh green, actually, to start the broadcast. And here we are back over into the chat room. So how am I coming through here, guys? Sure as I'm still broadcasting 37 minutes in. Tell you what, I'm going to hit pause over here just so I can do what I'm doing and not have it on the recording. Alright, so back here. I'm going to go over here and look these notes at. But so yesterday I saw a cricket. I come in to get my phone. I was going to go back out there and record him for a howl. When I came out, he was gone. But it did remind me that single little old cricket. He wasn't even a chirping, but it just a very small voice, and we all have our own. And I feel like I almost have a duty and obligation to do what I'm doing, to say what I'm saying, what I do. I don't know. I take it very seriously, though. And do I understand it all? No. But trying to sort through it, And this will probably be a minute. Just one sec. I still got congestion. The cigarette will really help too. So I think I'm going to skip down and forego the where I last week Hal was giving me and asking me some questions. Last week I was trying to get Ron Stevens on, got duck in, and so I guess what my topic kind of seemed more like a sideline. And anyways, that happens. Okay, and of course the tab. There, okay, now it's moving. So, but last week I did talk about extrajudicial killings and possible remedies to that. So I guess I didn't really do a very good job in presenting. I was just merely trying to show examples of where these have been addressed in different jurisdictions, from world court to the Supreme Court and even to state levels. That was my point in that. Looking over here, everything's still running. So my point would have been that there is past evidence for individuals in seats of power that supported killings and disappearances that have been brought to jurisdictional matters. And Hal was asking me, he's not seeing the connection to enforce the writ of amparo. That was in the Philippines. I'm just using, for example, like, I'm not by any means any kind of legal expert, so I'm just looking at stuff. I probably really should have went through this and edited it instead of having to scroll right now and reading this, because I can't read and talk at the same time unless I'm talking what I'm reading, saying what I'm reading. There was a couple of points in here that I did want to address before I get down into some tabs. And I might not come to them. Oh, I guess I was supposed to leave off on Hans, but yeah, in all that copying, there's copying in this. There's a lot of stuff from Hans in here. And but by the way, I don't talk good enough to be a preacher, Hans. Yeah, I know that was a joke. So I tried and failed in an attempt at showing you how to bring precedent, or at least cases that have some content and subject matter. Please remember what is second nature and rapid fire from you, Hal, is it's a little more than most of us can absorb at one time as a delivery. And I'm pretty close to being able to relate what it is you're saying and translate it from the code language of legal to the common vernacular. And wait a minute, I was trying to find where Hal responded. I think this is it. Hal says my observation is that you might have been better to speak with Chris. Oh yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, that brings the point that my prepared discussion is in context. Yeah, so it really came out of context, actually, but c'est la vie. Long pause and stutters. I'm going to go on down. I guess I'll just skip all this. I mean, it's a long. I should have added it for exactly the content that I want to. Well, let me just stop here. Hal says the reason he is interested about my finding the writ of amparo is that this is an interesting remedy, no otherwise recognized. Wait a minute. This is an interesting remedy, not otherwise recognized in the U.S., but what we accomplished in our Jefferson Mining District suit in effect. So Hal said he wanted a direct route to the treaties, other than what I figured out through the rules and remedies. And that was, I think, in response to, in part, I think I said that we may need to sue for peace against our own government, right? They're obviously not there acting as what people would expect government to. There's Mike Bluehair. I wonder if he's back in Portland. I'll just mess me up then. I think I'm going to move on. If I can ever find it. Alright. So I did copy some links here from www.lawcornell.edu, the American Bar, and this has to do with evidence and knowledge and willfulness, intent, in the dictionary. The Cambridge is on prima facie. Some topics that I guess for legal purposes, lawful matters, one would like to know about. Ships in the harbor. This is something I heard about many years ago, and it's the same with the Cricketers universe as how. And I did put that in. It's an hour and 17 minutes into the past cast. Is this going to give me a date? I'm going to have to open it to do it. September 25th of 2016. September 25th, 2016. All right. Go back there. Wait a minute. Mike says body cams plus policing equal Orwellian nightmare. That's Mike Bluehair filming Police Portland. He just posted that. So I have my notes over here on a private page that I got. I use as my. Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Private little word processor on Facebook. You can see everything I do. So I often hear the phrase "two ships passing in the night" or "can't see the forest for the trees" or vice versa, in an attempt to describe the inability of two individuals to communicate effectively. The common concept in all of these examples is that individuals are talking about the same subject and are maybe even in agreement, but they keep talking in circles, thinking that the other doesn't get it. Frustration and anger build, leading to communication being cut off now and in the future. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit 5. If we accept that we have an unlimited worldview, we should begin each and every dialogue with an exploration of our surroundings in order to discover what we are not seeing. And there are obvious assumptions, emotions, or point of view that the other person, that led to their conclusion. Make sure that I read that right. That comes from Envision Partners, EnvisionPartnersLLC.com. Cliches falling from the whatever. Control of communicable disease. Proposed rule by the Health and Human Services Department, 8/15/2016, updated. That's at one. This is from the same passcast from Hal, where he's talking about. And he asked to send letters for that you send letter to there. I didn't do that. I guess everybody must have dropped the ball there. Send a letter and ask for more time to respond as to due process, such a rule that would destroy all rights without proper disclosure or hearing. Agreements, extremely important. CDC may enter into an agreement with an individual upon such terms as the CDC considers to be reasonable. Things to come. Quarantines, right? Indicating that the individual consents to any of the public health measures authorized under this part, including quarantine, things to come, isolation, conditional release, medical examination, hospitalization, vaccination, and treatment, provided that the individual's consent shall be considered as a prerequisite to any exercise of any authority under this part. Emphasis added. That came from Gary, our very own Gary L. at Gary and GGS Boo, WordPress. False front, the stalking horse. A false dilemma, also called false dichotomy, false binary, black and white thinking, I was able to say this word last time I tried, bifurcation, right? Bifurcation, bifurcation. denying a conjunct, the either or fallacy. Fallacy of the exhaustive hypothesis, fallacy of the excluded middle, the fallacy of false choice, and the fallacy of false alternative. It's controlled or purposeful violence. It's the same past cast at 2 hour. Well, that can't be right. 2 hours, 19 minutes. Wars controlled violence. Oh, I'm sorry. That's on a YouTube. 2 hours and 19 minutes in. Where is this? Let's open it up. Okay, yeah. I've got it. Oh, that's yeah. I'm sorry. I lost myself. That is from Starship Troopers. This was an audiobook by Robert A. Heinlein. And, of course, they made a movie out of that. Or 2 or 3, not sure. I don't know how close the book is and the movie is. The book, it really explored some societal issues as far as control and people's, even to have citizenship, that they would have to serve in the military. And that point was made in chat yesterday. Some type of civil or military service before you could breed. That goes back to the point of I guess that might have been 2 or 3 days ago, that this issue I was talking about, stalking horse, this institution or whatever it was that you was referring to, and Grammy said that she liked the stuff from that guy too. But what I saw in there, what I called the stalking horse was, they have all these great ideas, and then they say, well, let's sterilize everybody, and let's make them qualify for to be able to populate. I mean, in a lot of ways that makes some sense, but I don't know. It's not. It's more of a farming practice, I'd say. So if you don't mind being farmed, I guess it's okay. So, chapter 5. Let's see. I'll read it all. There was a specific what I was wanting, but just for the context, there can be circumstances where it's just as foolish to hit an enemy city with an H-bomb as it would be to spank a baby with an axe. There are no dangerous weapons. There are only dangerous men. War is not violence and killing, pure and simple. War is controlled violence for a purpose. The purpose of war is to support your government's decisions by force. The purpose is never to kill the enemy, just to be killing him, but to make him do what you want to, not killing, but controlled and purposeful violence. It's never a soldier's business to decide when or where or how or why he fights. That belongs to the statesmen and the generals. The statesmen decide why and how much. The generals take it from there and tell us where and when and how. We supply the violence, and the other people, older and wiser heads, as they say, supply the control, which is as it should be. That comes from Starship Troopers. Sergeant Charles in on page 63 of the book, responding to Ted Hendricks' question on the purpose of infantrymen in the nuclear age. So, I've got that. Comicvine.com is where I was able to copy that quote from. Robert A. Heinlein. That was the guy what we was talking about there in that institute, whatever it was it is in. So there's some brainy quotes from him. We'll open that one up. And I think I have some stuff here. I wish I had done better with my notes here, but some stuff that I was alluding to specifically. Gary and GGS Boo WordPress earlier. I've got some links here. Corporationsandhealth.org and Real Liberty Media. A couple of the past casts from Hal, the Red Pill IRC, My point is that the use of perception to move an agenda is part of the propaganda funds, and that's what set that whole thing off there. So I wouldn't call you a starting horse. I was saying that these agendas are all hidden within good stuff. Are supposed good stuff, that is. So if you want to hear a quote or two from Robert A. Heinlein, everything is theoretically impossible until it's done. A competent and a self-confident person is incapable of jealousy in anything. Jealousy is invariably a symptom of neurotic insecurity. May you live as long as you wish and love as long as you live. So, I mean, a lot of good things talking here, but when you start talking about detaching people's ability to reproduce and then becomes a license to do so, I think that is a very dystopian future that we're looking at. So I'll kill Robert over here. Bam, he's dead. Here's from the New Republic, a famous science fiction writer's descent into libertarian madness. Robert A. Heinlein became increasingly right-wing, and his novel suffered for it. So this is a guy, he's a science fiction writer, wants to describe himself as a preacher with no church. More accurately, he was a preacher with too many churches, rare among the many intellectual gurus whose fame mushroomed in the 1960s. Heinlein was a beacon for hippies and hawks, libertarians and authoritarians, and many other contending faiths, but rarely at the same time. While America became increasingly liberal, he became increasingly right-wing, and it hobbled his once formidable imagination. His career and his new biography inadvertently proves the case study in the literary perils of political extremism. His most famous novel was Stranger in a Strange Land, 1961, and was a counterculture Bible. Its measure of free love, inspiring not just secular polygamous communes, but also the Church of All Worlds, a still flourishing New Age sect incorporated in 1968. Heinlein was equally beloved in military circles, especially for his book. I think I've mixed some people up. He's the author, I'm sorry, of Starship Troopers. Boy, do I feel stupid now. I was thinking of that other guy that you guys were talking about, Marion Helms. Okay, so no, I feel silly. New Age sect incorporated in 1968. Heinlein was equally beloved in military circles for his book, The Starship Troopers. In 1959 was when that was written. A gung-ho shout-out for organized belligerence as the key to human survival. A thoroughly authoritarian book. It included an ode to flogging, a practice the American Navy banned in 1861, and the execution of mentally disturbed criminals. Yet Heinlein became a hero to libertarians. Milton Friedman, we talked about Friedman earlier, he praised Heinlein's 1966 novel, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, which chronicled an anti-status rebellion in a lunar colony as a wonderful book, and commended Heinlein for popularizing the slogan, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. He died in 1988 at the age of 80. He lived a large, complex, and contradictory life. His friend and fellow science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke once noted that he was very protean, and Heinlein was everything like Walt Whitman. The publication of the second volume of a mammoth Heinlein biography by the late William Patterson, another big writer, Patterson, what was I can't remember, is, alas, only partially helpful in getting a grip on this complicated writer. So I did like the book. I was able to pull some ideology and see some propaganda and indoctrination. There's a lot to read here. I'll tell you, if you'd like to see more, this comes from the new Republic.com article on William Patterson's Robert Heinlein biography. I'll take this to the RLM and drop that over there for y'all, live listeners. If you're listening on downline, you can do your search. So, boy, nobody's chatty over here. How am I coming through, folks? Doing good? Alright, back to doing notes. I think I was where I was going to go on over and jump over and cover some on the babies. But again, my point was that to use perception to move an agenda is part of the propaganda. That's to you, Hans. I think I might be missing somewhere, but maybe I'll put it somewhere else. Let's go on, and I want to talk about lunges. I had more links. What I do with them? I hope I did make my copy over there. Oh well, I think they're down further in comments, right? Yes, right. Yes. There they are. I found them. Okay. Or did I find them? Maybe I didn't. There it is. See more. See more ducks. Okay, somebody said hi. Thank you, Governor. Sounds good. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so lawyers allege the FBI posed as film crews, and they went and interviewed a bunch of folks. They didn't have to do it to me because I just keep talking. And there's a picture. I'll grab this. This is from, I met this guy here, Dennis Michael Lynch. A lot of these people, I had no idea who they were before I went to Dunkerville. I didn't know who Pete Santilli was, Lynch, and some of these other people that were reporting for Alex Jones. So, here's that lawyer, that link. FBI posed as film crew. Now, the picture right there, that angle, I was right there under that bridge. They're actually further to screen right, and I was more to the left of there. And I see folks that even right now I can recognize from down there. So they went to extraordinary measures in their investigation of the 2014 Bundy Ranch standoff, defense attorneys claim. You know what? I'll probably have to go to the Facebook page to find those other links. I don't think I. Maybe I do. Yeah, I think I've got them. I'm gonna open that and see. But let me go back over here to this one. They called themselves Longbow Productions. Boy, isn't that cryptic. Longbows is killing from afar. Way back when, a longbow. So, the documentary crew, who were so interested in interviewing Ammon Bundy and others involved in the 2014 standoff near Bundy Ranch in Bunkerville, Nevada, were actually undercover FBI agents, according to several attorneys. The company reportedly does not appear to be licensed in Nevada. Well, I don't know if they may claim that they were or not. So, an attorney who represents radio talk show host Peter Santilli, his name is Chris Rasmussen, Rismussen, charged that the undercover film crew conducted the interviews of several defendants to try to get admissions out of them before they were charged. Listen, just a second, I'm sorry, excuse me. I need to put it in a second. Alright, sorry about that. I should have collected me up some plankton seed heads. made me a tea with him. But there's some herbal tea, other herbs. So, okay, back to it. And an attorney for Ammon Bundy, Dan Hill, said Ammon was interviewed for several hours by the film crew months before he and his father, Cliven Bundy, and others were charged. That's what I was going to. Yeah, people were coming around. Hey, let's get your ID. Let's sign you up here. Let's get you in the militia. And I was like, man, I ain't come out here to join nothing. I come here of my own accord to stand as witness. I was even chided. Oh, you don't have a gun. Like Hal says, if it comes down to we have to resort to the Second Amendment. It has gone too far. It'll be too late. You think that guns in the street, and guess who who the enemy will be? Our perceived enemy will be given force. We're going to go out there and kill cops? You think that's going to solve all problems? We've got to hold them accountable when they're doing wrong. That I go back to this shooting cops video, that the highway patrolman. He don't even know the law, and who, if they're not held accountable to the law, and they want to hold us accountable, I mean, that seems to be a problem for me. And cops should probably be, not probably, but they should be more accountable than a regular person. If they're there to uphold the law, most certainly they better know the law. And you like how I always, coming back to how you only get the rights that you assert. Okay, it's not given to you. You have to stand up for them. Now, had the Bundys and folks out there done things a little differently, maybe it wouldn't. They wouldn't be in jail right now. I not so much as what you do sometimes, but what you don't do that is of importance. I'm rolling another cigarette. In March 2016, 19 defendants were charged with conspiring to assault BLM agents on April 12, 2014, and to take back the impounded. Hold up. The impounded. The impounded cattle that had been grazing on federal land. Not federal land, okay? Land disposal, that was their duty, was to dispose of the land. You can see in the Constitution what lands that the federal government are restricted to having. I keep kicking that same horse there, but if you don't know, contact me and I'll tell you more about it. To take back the camels, 17 of the defendants are scheduled to stand trial February 6 of 2017, while 2 others already pled guilty. The Review-Journal reported, that's a paper in Vegas. My mom worked there, my sister and brother-in-law were columnists there as well. I believe that the FBI was pretending to be members of the news media in order to have lengthy conversations with Ammon and others, Hill said. Ammon had nothing to hide. He's a great guy, by the way. I spent a lot of time talking to him and Ryan more than any of the other family members out there. They're good. I mean, if you go back into the 1950s and look at family values there, that's what you're going to find. So another defense lawyer, Jess Marchese, said that his client, Eric Parker, gave the company a 90-minute interview in Idaho where he lives. From everything that I've seen, it is my belief that Longbow Productions was the FBI. So I guess this is the only allegations from as Marchese says. And I know that there were interviews with some of the other defendants. It was definitely unique, but I don't think it's overly harmful to my client because his recitation of the facts has always been the same. Parker posted on Facebook in August of 2014 that a member of Longbow Productions told him the company was making a documentary about the standoff and wanted his opinion about it. I was told that the Bundys were working with them and had given interviews. I I didn't know those guys was cops. I seen them. They were down there. They were getting footage and even funding. So I'm not sure if these guys were or not, but I guess time will tell. Natalie Collins, a spokeswoman for the Nevada U.S. Attorney's Office, would not comment Friday on Longbow Productions. We cannot comment on pending litigation, she said. FBI spokesman Houston Pullen also declined to comment. So who knows? Maybe they are. That comes from DennisMichaelLynch.com. Lawyers allege FBI post film crew Bundy Ranch standoff. One second again, please. Okay. So, less government is the best gov.com. The face of federal overreach in America. Let me check my stream. Yeah, everything's running okay. Excuse me one more second, I'm sorry. Okay. Scroll, please. Hey, the wind's picking up outside, sounds like. The Federal Overreach in America by Scott Michael Rotter, October 2016. It's from October the 4th, Dateline, Portland, Oregon. Let me move this out of my way. More than anyone else in America, Ammon and Ryan Bundy are leading the fight to change the way that Congress administers public land. These two dedicated individuals are sacrificing their lives to keep such an important subject as this in front of the nation's attention for as long as they have. Federal land use reform is now a part of Republican platform in 2016. The Bundy goal is to get Congress to hold hearings on this subject and ultimately to turn over as much of the federally administrative land to state and local control as possible. As soon as possible, where it can be much better managed by the people of each state. It would certainly go a long way to provide a stable source of funding for many counties in western states instead of having them go begging to Congress every year for more money to fund rural schools or police and fire protection. These two courageous brothers have already spent over 8 months behind bars for such a worthy cause as this. But if an Oregon jury finds them guilty of conspiracy, they could spend a lot more than just 8 months in jail. I believe it's 7 years is perhaps what they're facing, and I'm not sure if that's minimum or maximum. This is the awesome responsibility of the Portland area jury, which has been selected to decide their fate. I wonder if you can really get a jury of your peers being a rancher in a city. Isn't a peer somebody that is kind of the same? So let's see. To decide their fate, if it would be a gross miscarriage of justice to characterize the Bundys as conspirators, or anything they did as a conspiracy. The Bundys or any of the other defendants charged along with them have to spend one more day in jail. It is one day too much. That would be just as wrong as calling Dwight and Stephen Hammond arsonists and sentencing them to 5 years in jail under the Anti-Terrorist and Effective Death Penalty Act for the accidental spread of a small grass fire. I think, if I remember from reading this yesterday, or the day before it was, he kind of convoluted a little bit of his information here, but nonetheless, I think he was confused about what all was burnt. It was 100. He says 130. We can go with 130 acres, which actually improved the value of the land after assessment by BLM. So, and then I think they burned 1 acre. We got off their land in 1 acre. So, but the 330 acres that they burned was land that they they had use of. They own the grazing rights and maybe water rights, but if they hadn't already been. I'm just trying to think of a nicer word besides screwed out of, but I guess I'll go with that. The law at times, the law can be an ass at times. So I guess if he says ass, I can say screwed. In fact, the law can be an ass a lot of times. But the jury in the occupation trial, the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, has the power to acquit these good men and send them home to their families. It would be a wonderful Christmas. Yes, it would, for Lisa and Angie Bundy. Ammon took the witness stand today to testify. This was when? 2 days ago. On his own behalf. And now, calling some more from Mike Arnold and Ammon's lawyer. I hope I didn't lose that post. I'm going to have to go find it on Mike Arnold's Facebook page. Probably to tell you some about his lawyer. He's a pretty interesting fellow. But I'll tell you what. Let me grab this here. Did I already drop it? I don't remember. I'll drop it back over to chat. Authority, what's up, Rob? And you can continue reading there. What I want to do is go to Mike Arnold's page. Here, I'll have to type it in, unless we don't freeze. A-R-N. There's Mike Arnold. I'm going to go to his personal Facebook page. He accepted my friend request after he sent me after he followed me over on Twitter. I went over. I'd already been. Well, I'm not friends with him anymore. What happened there? Ain't that strange? Wonder why he. Wonder why he dropped me. That's funny. It looks like he lost. He did a big old dump. He dumped a massive amount of people. I guess he wants to keep his Facebook page more personal. Well, tell you what, I might be able to find it here anyways. If not, it might be restricted. Yeah, let me go to Mike Arnold Wall page then. So, wait a minute. Actually, I think it's an extra. That's the problem. It was an extra Mike Arnold Facebook page. I've got several myself. So I am friends with Mike Arnold after all. He did not drop me. I was just an extra Mike Arnold. I don't know if it's, maybe a fake one. I better go check that out. Alright. Mike Arnold also has a podcast, OregonLawyerBlogspot.com is, I think, let me, he's also on SoundCloud. I'm following him there. And I'm gonna have to be scrolling here. Here it is, I think. Oh, this is from Greg Walden, so all the good folks up in Oregon know who he is. Harney County is one of his where he is in government at. Is this the one I want? Let me just open it up. Let me go back over here. That's a character, right? Hey, it's almost 4:20 somewhere. One more minute. So, Mike Arnold has a book he's co-authored, A Finishing Machine, by the way. And you can also download that for free. Just do a search. So here's somebody shared this to his page. Marvin Frisbee, this from the Daily Caller, North Dakota Sheriff claims oil pipeline protesters are armed and hostile. So that's what we want to. I would. Here's a good one just come up from Wesley Vance. I'm pretty sure Wesley, I met in Bunkerville also, if I remember him correctly. I opened that with a new tab. We'll come back to it. I really wish it was, I knew what it was. I was trying to find it over again, and I may have already opened it. Let me just look here. Excuse me, I meant to cover that up. Well, where is it? Here we go. This is from KLCC 89.7. Emmett Bundy testifies, guns, divine intervention, and Greg Walden. Maybe this isn't the one I was looking for, but I'll go with it anyways. Emmett Bundy, one of 7 occupiers, currently on trial for the occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in eastern Oregon, took the witness stand for the second time Wednesday. Bundy offered a sprawling testimony that encompassed his Mormon faith, weapons, the U.S. Constitution, and Oregon Congressman Greg Walden, among other things. Bundy's testimony, which lasted most of Wednesday and is expected to continue Thursday, illustrated some of his motives in the takeover and how it rubbed off on fellow occupiers. One of the jury's presence, defendant Neil Wampler stood and vocalized his support for Bundy. "Well, I love you, Ammon," said Wampler, standing and clapping. "Thank you so much for what you're doing," and I applaud that applause as well. Thank you, Ammon, Ryan, David, Mel, Cliven, Mrs. Bundy, all the family, and all those other people that came and took a stand out there for really standing in the gap despite their fear. So before the lunch break, Bundy addressed a January 1 video, which he called on people to come to Burns. Bundy said he didn't have a plan to occupy the refuge at that time, nor was he conspiring with anyone to prevent federal employees from doing their jobs. Bundy and 6 others currently on trial are charged with conspiring to prevent federal workers from doing their jobs through the use of force, intimidation, or threats. I'm going to grab this if anybody would like to continue with that for the reading. I'll drop it back. Hey, Master Graf. Call them Nazis. Why didn't that post twice? And let me go over here to Wesley Vance. Ammon Bundy testifies why he took over. This is from Dennis Michael Lynch. Thanks, Wesley. So, a lot of little people became big names, sensationalized. Is this the same one that I already read earlier? Maybe not. And I'm going to wait for my tab to unfreeze. Yeah, this is continuing on in the same Wednesday. Come on, scroll for me, please. Well, let's give it a second. There it goes. Let me read the highlight here. Defendant Ammon Bundy took the stand to testify in his trial regarding the occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge for nearly 4 hours Wednesday, calmly explaining how his experience during the Bundy Ranch standoff and his religious faith prompted him to go to Oregon and try to help the Hammonds. Oh my, excuse me. Often speaking directly to the jurors, Bundy was ordered by Judge Anna Brown not to read from the pocket constitution he carried, nor to recite scripture from his Doctrine and Covenants of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints book that he had with him. Bundy explained how the local sheriff in Nevada had intervened for his family in 2014, allowing his father to reclaim the family's cattle. So, I've got that on YouTube. I filmed I was up there on stage filming, and that was my, I guess, my Forrest Gump moment in history. You know, my image has gone around the world, and I'm proud to have been there. So, let's see here. Okay. After talking to Gillespie, allowing his father to reclaim the family's cattle as BLM agents backed down. I counted the cars coming out of there. I think I had like 181. Others said maybe 200 vehicles. All these white SUVs, and a lot of them had, some of them had one, but many had two people in it. So there was a lot of agents out there, and still probably even outnumbered. But I'm going to tell you, the read I got when I was in Nevada there, was that nobody was there to start a war. But, people were willing to take a bullet, though, while they did stand in the gap. So that ordeal prompted Ammon to stand with the Hamlin family in Oregon and try to persuade their sheriff to stand with them as well. He said when Harney County, Oregon law enforcement, and state leaders ignored his pleas to halt the Hamlin's return to prison, he received divine instructions to take another course of action. Bundy testified that he met with about 30 people on January 2nd and proposed going to the refuge to take possession of it and take these lands back to the people. Bundy, 41, is one of 7 defendants, including his brother Ryan, who are charged with conspiracy to impede federal workers from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the U.S. Bureau of Land Management from carrying out their work through intimidation, threats, or force. He denied he ever issued any threats to the local sheriff, as Dave Ward had testified. Instead, he said his plan was to stake claim to the refuge property because he didn't believe the government had a right to control it. He said that if they hadn't been armed, then they wouldn't have been taken seriously, and the protest would have been shut down quickly. He stated that he still believes what he and his supporters did was completely legal. And wait a minute, I'm getting inboxes over to the side. Okay. It was completely unexpected. They would have been cited for trespassing, and the matter would have gone to civil court and over who has the right to control the land, to civil court. I would have expected, trespass charges, at most. The fact that they had guns has nothing to do with anything. So this is a much bigger. This is so much bigger than me, or the defendants, or the employees of the refuge, or the BLM. Then he said, this is so much bigger than refuge itself. The Oregon Live reported that prosecuting attorney Ethan Knight jumped up and objected to Bundy testifying about his personal views on the law. Judge Anna Brown told the jurors that this was just Bundy's opinion and not to regard it as fact. Here we go, Marcus Mumford, this guy, he is something. I'm going to copy his name and bring it to a search. Let me see what I come up. That's one I was looking for. He's called the Stuttering Lawyer. So he's been in some pretty high-profile cases. He's known for pushing it to the limit with the judge. Let me see what I can find on him over here. Here's the news. Well, I may have to leave that to y'all to find your own search on him. Let me just pop that on there. That's the lawyer right there. He's from Salt Lake City, I believe. I'm not sure how the bar, the state bar association works there, but I guess you can come out of state to practice law there. Like in Texas, you have to be a member of the Texas Bar Association to practice law there. So let me go back on over here. So, So Mumford objected several times to some of the judge's ruling, but was shut down. During one part of the testimony, Bundy referenced scripture from his church's teaching saying that says, "It is our duty to go to the judge. It is our duty to go to the representative. It is our duty to go to the president and plead with them to stand up for what is wrong, not stand up." I think I'd be misquoted. I want to stand up for what's right and stand against what's wrong, he said. I wonder if I can pull that over to back into my notes over here. Where is it? So I'm oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Love should not freeze you. It should not cause you fear. And love, that is what is right. And that's where I boil it down to the bottom line. What matters? Love. Love is what's right. And it should spur you on for what is right. And I think that would possibly apply here as far as what's right. And we are not to act until that has been done, he added. Let me back up just a little bit. Ammon said it's our duty to give each of the officials the opportunity to do what's right. We are not to act until that has been done, he added. Well, procedure, I don't know. So the prosecuting attorney objected and the judge warned Bundy not to quote scripture. Bundy said he was encouraged to stay at the refuge after hearing a speech on January 5th from Representative Greg Walden, who told about the takeover, saying he shared their frustrations and how federal lands are managed in the West. He was articulating, in my view, exactly how I felt, Bundy said. I began to understand what we were doing was working, and they were actually starting to listen. And I'll give that to you in chat. Now, let me go back to Mike Arnold's Facebook page. I really wish I could find that on Maxine Bernstein. I believe that she is the co-author with Mike Arnold in the book, Finishing Machine. So it's available for pre-order, and I believe you can get it for free too. So here's some tweets. If you don't follow Maxine Bernstein, you can at Max Orgonian. Maxine Bernstein at Max Orgonian. So she talks some about violation of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. About Ammon Bundy said in backroom meeting at Yole Cafe. Okay, I missed the point. Where Jason Patrick tells the court he won't take the fifth if he's called to testify. Jason Patrick's a great guy. I've got some video I shot with him. Unfortunately, audio's kind of windy. Really great friend from used to co-chair with Jules in the mornings, Dodie, out in Northern California. She filmed that for Jason and me. I spent I'd say Jason and Tom. I spent the most time with Patty Beers. What a great gal she is too. So I mean, there's a very long list of folks that I met out there. Just incredible people. And not everybody with the same view either. You know, as far as the ways of the world. We called Tom right wing and Patty left wing, and when they guested together, I brought them to air, and it's amazing when thinking people come together and can see one another's points. It's pretty incredible. So you can find that. What did I title that? Maybe Shooting Cops. It's a long-running theme here. It's if you go to Shooting Cops and you've gone the wrong direction. There's one. I think I might be getting close. I hope. I'm pretty sure that this is where I got it from with my donor page. I would really like to read about Marcus Mumford, what a character this guy is. That'll make you funny. So, I may not find it. Okay, here's a giveaway. 1 in 10 wins. Arnold Law Firm, if you're on Facebook, you can go find it. So, there's just so much here. I think mostly I've ran to my content, except for the one I was wanting to remember. Here comes, let's see. Let me see. This came from one of the past casts I was listening to. This is nothing to do with the business. But it has kind of to do with some law here. And I was covering this earlier. Things to come. Okay, so the Zika virus, ATCC registered VR-84T trademark, classification, Flavivus. It's a product, anyways, freeze-dried. And the name of the depositor was J. So what we see here is okay, wait a minute. Name of the depositor, J. Casals Rockefeller Foundation. So the source was blood from an experimental forest sentinel rhesus monkey from Uganda in 1947. We're talking about Zika. You know, wonder how close this is with what the what was that other thing coming out after here? But anyways, this seems to be being treated more with more seriousness. So Governor Rick Scott asked the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to activate a CDC emergency response team, CERT, to continue going door to door to collect urine samples in a sort of Zika martial law exercise. They were going back to quarantines and that sort of thing. So the action call coincided with the CDC announcing an unprecedented travel warning, urging pregnant women to avoid the area in Miami where Zika infected people started popping up. It's unprecedented because this kind of martial law behavior, including the travel warnings, wasn't even remotely shown. Here we go. During the Ebola psyop, and Ebola is a lot more deadly than Zika. So, pregnant women should avoid the area because, according to the Northwest Center for Alternative Pesticides fact sheet on NAILD, that's what they were spraying, NAILD, N-A-L-E-D, studies have shown that the exposure of pregnant women for just 3 days during brain development resulted in 15% smaller brains. This comes from the pesticide, not the Zika. These are some of the claims from Brazil. We miss you, Solomon, by the way. Have shown the exposure of pregnant animals for just 3 days during the brain development resulted in 15% smaller brains in their babies, and an increase in aggressiveness and memory deterioration. NAILD also happens to be 20 times more toxic when exposure occurs due to inhalation of nailed contaminated air versus ingestion. Symptoms can range from fatigue, headaches, and nausea to diarrhea. Don't get Pepto-Bismol, that'll probably cure you up. I feel certain if I would have had my, I wonder if I gotta have that. I would really like to talk about Mumford, that link I had. He's something. Okay, it's not there. So, come here. Where are you? No, maybe I don't have it. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's in here. Repeal, safe, sure, carry, corporation health. That wouldn't be it. That's government. Is this it? News. That's probably about the Zika. It may be that I have lost. I just shut this thing down. Maybe I didn't copy it. Hard save it before I shut this down. Got a million tabs open now. Running. And I think I did find it. Yes, good. I'm very glad because this gave me some pleasure reading. The legal bulldog who might just might free Bundy. Now this comes from E&E Publishing LLC, EEnews.net. Oregon standoff. Jeremy P. Jacobs, an E&E reporter. Greenwire, Friday, September 30th, 2016. Portland, Oregon. One person has eclipsed even Ammon Bundy and the other defendants in the courtroom's theatrics playing out over the armed occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. It's Bundy's attorney, Marcus Mumford. Mumford has unsuccessfully demanded a mistrial. He has claimed that federal prosecutors coached their witnesses to squeeze in a prejudicial statements about his clients, about his client that are irrelevant to the case, and his cross-examinations have sparked dozens of objections from prosecutors, nearly all of which have been sustained by federal district court judge Anna Brown. The drama culminated last week in Brown threatening to hold Mumford in criminal contempt and fine him $1,000 if he did not follow her orders about what topics are off limits. Remember, judges are not interested in justice, but the letter of the, I was going to say law, but it's really legal. To those who know or have come up against Mumford in court, though, nothing about his handling of the trial is surprising. The Salt Lake City-based lawyer is known for pushing a judge's limit in dogged defense of his client. An unusual tactic in the typically staid Utah legal community. On multiple occasions, Mumford has received contempt warnings from judges. Those who know him described him as combative and tenacious, and they emphasized that onlookers shouldn't be fooled by his unorthodox style. Mumford is short and stocky with thinning gray hair. He frequently wears cowboy boots and somewhat ill-fitting suits to the courtroom. He looks like a little like a bulldog, as another Utah lawyer described him. He's fidgety, crossing and uncrossing his arms, gesturing rapidly, leaning back in his chair, and then abruptly sitting up. He speaks with a severe stutter, a trait that would likely discourage most lawyers from pursuing courtroom litigation, but he also delivers results. Mumford has been involved in some of the most high-profile lawsuits in Utah, and he has frequently come out on top. He should never be underestimated, says Brett Tolman, a former U.S. attorney for Utah and a law school classmate of Mumford. Tolman said the Oregon standoff, which protested federal lands management, may have resonated with Mumford, whom he recalled as having a healthy mistrust of the government. So that might be an old picture. It's not gray hair, it's more gray. Excuse me just a moment. Excuse me. Let's see, where was I? There. That, Tolman said, may make Mumford even more effective in the case. Ideologically, Tolman said he probably is an even more fearsome advocate when it's involving the government. Mumford, 43, who, like Bundy and several of the other Malheur occupiers, is Mormon and did not respond to requests for comment. He grew up on a farm in southeast Idaho. His father was a country lawyer. He attended Utah State University and Brigham Young University Law School and later clerked for the federal judge Monroe McKay on the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. He grew up on a farm. I already read that. Mumford spent more than 8 years in Skaden, state? In New York City, something. It's a law firm. One of the country's largest and most prestigious law firms. He then struck out on his own, represented defendants in high stakes and complicated white-collar litigation. Now I'm starting not to like this man. No, I'm just kidding. Attorney said he is remarkably hardworking as well as eccentric. He is fluent in Italian and enjoys singing along to classic rock hits such as Van Halen and Journey, according to a former partner. Kara Porter, a prominent Salt Lake attorney who knows Mumford, said it was gutsy to go into trial work with a speech impediment. It tells you a lot about his personality that he said, "Forget that, I'm going to court." Porter said has given presentations at conferences titled "The Stuttering Lawyer." His intellect, Porter said, is off the chart. Tactics at work. In the Oregon standoff, Brown threatened Mumford with a contempt after he repeatedly raised circumstances surrounding the police shooting and death of Robert LeBoy Finicum on January 26, which precipitated the eventual end of the 41-day armed occupation on February 11. Brown has ordered that those questions are not relevant to the charges facing Bundy and the 6 other defendants. Conspiracy to impede federal officials through threats. Well, I think the threats, intimidation, and use of force came from another direction, in my opinion, and thus may not be raised in front of the jury. You're not to do that, Brown said, according to media reports. Mumford willingness to push the limits to the judge's order and patience is common practice for him. Earlier this year, a federal district judge in Utah threatened Mumford with contempt, $500 fine, and a high-profile case involving whether an online marketing company, regardless, he's missed 16 filing deadlines where he was sharply criticized by the same judge, David Neffer. I think I've reached to, let's see. All right, let me finish with this. Whatever happened, lawyers who have worked with and against Mumford City has cultivated a way of using his appearance and stutter to his advantage. Brett Rawson, a former partner of Mumford, said it's his secret weapon. Here's an attorney who has an immediate built-in mechanism for not only underdogging himself, but endearing himself to juries in a way like no other attorney I've ever met, Rawson said. Further, by pushing judges to chastise him in court and baiting prosecutors to object to his questions, he makes himself the victim in the eyes of the jury. It also distracts the juries. That could be an important impact in a case like the Oregon standoff trial, where the government where am I at? Real quick. Object this question. Makes him the victim in the eyes. It distracts the juries. This could be an important tactic where the government has reams of evidence against the defendants, and there seems to be little question of facts in the case. The defense began presenting its case this week. Here's the one of these guys where if he can get you into a knife. Here's one of these guys where if he can get you in knife fighting range, that favors him, said an attorney familiar with Mumford's handling of other cases, would only speak anonymously due to the sensitive nature of ongoing litigation. He's not afraid to mix it up. So there's much more. Not really. I'm almost done. I'll grab that phrase to the chat. And there it is. So I'm a little short of running out couple hours, but hey, I think I'm about done for today. So, hey, next week, the 14th, let's see where that takes me. That night after Grammy, Mary will be A-Tracks, and I think we're going to do a little, make sure it's going to work, but I think we got the Reiki 2 fixed up where he and I can come in together, and we're gonna do. He's giving me a birthday party next week, so it'll be half a decade plus 2 a week from Saturday. And boy, if I offended you in chat, just wait till you hear me drunk. So we're gonna have a birthday party, and it will not be censored. So as my self-censoring self here, you may not like me next week. Anyway, so hey, thanks again, Real Liberty Media. Thanks, Grimner. Stick around 6 p.m. Central. Grammy's going to kick it off in the rocket chair, followed by the 8 tracks with some of his music, and the Freakers Ball with Grimner and Moose Girl. And thanks again, folks. I'm going to shut her down. Stop the recording. Love and peace, y'all.